MAGA.
You disgust me.
But guess what? You couldn't answer. That's why that's what you offered. Because it just got worse from there.
All of them. That's 1,600. The ones not case by case. That's correct. All of them.
And that he said it was about them. They were treated so poorly and all of that. Good luck, Republicans, trying to justify that when you have the families of hundreds of officers and officers like Harry Dunn and Gunnell and Fanone and Daniel Hodges who have stood up and lost their careers to stand up and say what they went through that day and what the American people saw. And they're trying to rewrite history. This is an affront to every law enforcement officer who put themselves between those traitors, captors on that day and our democracy to protect it, that Donald Trump and the people who support him and the Todd Blanchers of the world would actually try to say this is some kind of patriotic thing using a number like 1776 to give reparations or retribution to repay those people for those bad acts.
So that's exactly what it was.
Outrageous.
And that's what it is.
Hey, that's nasty. That's Tara Setmeyer stolen out. Hey, y'all need to press charges on her. She got y'all looking on national television. That's crazy. And quite frankly, you probably should get more acquainted with the legal system because that is the best way to come up on some of that slush fund money is be involved with the legal system. Let's also make that clear. House Republicans block amendment barring January 6 rioters from $1.8 billion fund. Wait a minute. They blocked an amendment preventing rioters from getting the... Wait, where did that money come from?
Also, the January 6th insurrectionist terrorists that tried to overthrow our government less than a decade ago will also get money from this fund, probably cover their lawyer fees or just so they can have some money, just because Trump likes them. So who exactly pays for this? The answer is you and me. If you pay taxes, you yourself are giving the government money to pay people that Donald Trump likes personally. But wait, there's more, because Donald Trump also is in the process of suing the IRS for $10 billion so that he can personally enrich himself with tax dollars for reparation for being investigated for the crimes that he almost certainly committed. There's some new updates on that. Like, maybe I'll get to that a little bit later in the day. But if the Department of Justice is settling a suit against itself, then obviously it's just going to give the president what he wants because he's the one that appointed the people in the DOJ in the first place. What it comes down to is Trump is stealing your money. He's stealing your money, all right? He's stealing your money. He's stealing my money. He's stealing your money. He's giving it to cyclists. The end.
Yep, sure enough, Republicans just voted against Jim McGovern's amendment to stop Trump's $1.8 billion slush fund from bailing out the convicted felons who assaulted cops on January 6th. You read that right. They blocked us from even debating the issue on the House floor. Beyond shameful.
Remember, Donald Trump is literally suing his own government for damages while lawyers from his own Justice Department handled the lawsuit. This is nuts. The case was rightfully facing skepticism from the judge presiding over it, so instead of pressing forward, Trump and company established a weaponization fund to effectively get around the judge. Now Donald Trump will control a 5-person commission that decides on how the $1.8 billion taxpayer-funded slush fund will be spent. With little or no oversight. Some Democrats in the House are trying to block this outright theft from the American taxpayer. Impeachment should be on the table, too. As I've been around politics for over 50 years, I have never seen anything so brazenly crooked and corrupt as what Donald Trump and his cronies did today. Donald Trump makes Richard Nixon look like a fireball.
And because this is Donald Trump we're talking about, there truly is no bottom. Because as much as this is so wild and outrageous, let's not forget, they're in the midst of a war right now.
What are you aiming at?
Yeah, we've also been gaslighted about it.
Trying to walk this bizarre-ass tightrope, trying to look tough while also simultaneously trying to not start a war and drive gas prices up again. You know, pesky things like taking the economy, stuff like that. But let us remember, the U.S. government already declared Iran's nuclear arsenal destroyed and then celebrated the ceasefire. Then started floating possible new strike weeks later then nah, then yeah, but then, listen, either the mission was successful and it's over, or it can't be both. And let's not forget, Congress never really approved this clusterfuck in the first place. And regardless of how much this administration wants the ceasefire to be a pause button, war power attack, it's not.
Just needed a few repairs.
Because the game told me so.
You need to stop that vehicle in its tracks.
Fine, it's all fine, trust me. At least Trefar added one care trucks to their Hey, that already exists. Anyways, hey, 484 is here. The answer is, I just
And because this is Trump we're talking about, there's no question the more you look, the worse it gets. It always gets worse.
Ready for another ghost fighter?
Hey everybody, I have some news and it's not good. The Justice Department's settlement with Donald Trump is even worse than we knew. It turns out there was a secret part of the agreement that was hidden from us when it was announced yesterday. I just reviewed it and I am struggling to find words to tell you how catastrophic and corrupt it is. I'm Liz Oyer, I'm a attorney for justice. Here's the deal. Todd Blanche, in his official capacity as acting attorney general, signed this one-page document. It's called a release of claims. Here's what it does. It signs away all claims against Donald Trump on behalf of the United States. In other words, it says that Trump cannot be investigated, audited, or sued by the United States government in the future. That includes any government agency, Justice Department, IRS, etc. In fact, this bill ends the ongoing audits of Trump-owned companies. But that's not all. It gives our right to collect any taxes owed by companies' businesses. It waives our right to try to reclaim the money we stole from taxpayers. It gives up our right to sue them for damages or to pursue really any legal recourse whatsoever against Donald Trump. And it binds the United States forever, meaning it applies even after Trump.
That's not okay.
It's actually even worse than that because it's not limited to just Donald Trump. It also signs away all of our claims against his companies, his family members, and his associates. This is a staggering betrayal of the public trust. Even compared to other bad acts by this administration, this one stands out as especially unforgivably corrupt. Trump and Blanche are colluding together to give away our money, our rights, and our jobs. I'm sure there will be lawsuits that will argue that this agreement is illegal and unenforceable. Hopefully they will succeed. I'm not sure who will bring them or when, but I'll be keeping a close eye on it and I'll keep you informed. In the meantime, please help me sound the alarm. This is truly an emergency situation. Please share this with your friends and neighbors and make sure they understand how corrupt and unconscionable this is. All your elected reps and demands that we take action. Whatever you can think of to help prevent democracy.
And sure enough, Acting Attorney General Todd Blanche said the government will drop any tax claims and audits of President Trump. Blanche also defended the creation of the nearly $1.8 billion anti-weaponization fund. Well, there are new details on that deal. The IRS and Justice Department spoke with President Trump. The U.S. government has agreed to drop any tax claims and audits of the president and his sons, the Trump Organization, to include, according to a letter signed by Acting Attorney General Todd Blanche. It comes a day after the announcement of the $1.8 billion so-called anti-weaponization fund. It says that the IRS is, quote, forever banned and precluded from reviewing any tax returns filed by the president, his family members, or his businesses. Just imagine the kind of upstanding citizen that would need that kind of agreement in the middle of a presidential term.
So Donald is the perfect anomaly to wake the American public up. Because what do you mean collapse the judicial branch's power into yours, and you also own the Supreme Court, and then you're giving yourself $1 billion slush fund to give to your friends and families, probably your kids too, probably yourself. And hearing reporters talk about it is one of the most uncanny things. Because what do you mean this absolute sociopath is openly taking money from the American public to give to criminals? Like, these people did crimes, and now we're going to pay them for the crimes that they did. Especially when he's one of Elon's baby moms is saying that he created like an anomaly in the matrix by like rigging the votes, basically. Because only an absolute horror show would even attempt to do something like this so flagrantly and so publicly. It's like we're listening to it, like, wait, you can do that? It's just that no one has done it yet. No one's been bold enough to do it. And here he is, he's like, I call out my $10 billion lawsuit against the American government. Instead, I'm going to turn it into a slush fund that only 5 people will have access to. And we'll decide who gets it, and we won't have to answer to the public. It's like, what? Plus, you know how many people are like, shit, I wish I could have thought of doing this. He's also so perfectly timed in like American history and life that like it's just gonna ride, like it's just gonna happen, I guess. Now, the crazy part to me, to be serious, where is the defense on this? Because this is something that Trump has done throughout his entire lifetime of like litigations, right? Is really being ingenious, or his lawyers do ingenious things. Remember Michael Cohen? I think that's his name. He's in jail for the Stormy Daniels payment because like Trump didn't do it, but he did. I feel like this is straight out of like the Roy Cohn playbook. Is that the guy's name? Roger Stone? I can't remember which scumbag it is. But he brings 2 lawyers, right? But both of the lawyers work for him. And they're like, oh, no, we decided like, we can just settle this out of court. We settled it between each other, and now the fund has been achieved. Even though the judge went out of her way to try to stop this. And when it's just so fascinating that someone can do this, because there really is no way of stopping him, it would seem. But also, it was not no one expecting this was like how this historically done business. And I'm just like sitting here in my dusty garage thinking that, right? It's not my job to be a lawyer, so I don't understand like who's working for us. Because he just has like fake genius megalomaniac and his like lawyers who don't care about themselves. And also too, the American public is not realizing what's happening. Like most of the people, even Democrats, are like they're just grifters that are there to like sort of insider trade and get whatever they can off of it, right? So this is a perfect time for them to take even more than they were already going to take before. But it's all of this is happening, and they're not stopping it. And actually, this one I don't see how they can stop it. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. Because there's separation of powers for a reason. The fact that he just touched the Department of Justice right under his arm, and he's just like Heismaning it down. I don't think anyone imagine that it's a Joker card, like which is the wild card, which is the Trump card, like who's cool. It's also an evolution of what Democrats do. Like, we're going to take your money and we're going to do G-side with it. Now it's like, oh, sorry guys, you're going to pay for opinions to get their money back. Like, what? This is literally, it's kind of like being on the Hindenburg or like the Titanic, where you're just like, it's coming. Also like, oh well, if it was the one thing that's going to be another. Also, if you Google this, a lot of major stations, like if you just put Trump in, this should be the first thing that comes up. No, they're talking about his like midterm picks and all this other nonsense. So I don't even know how many people even know about this. Till next time. Yep.
Imagine being able to build an app with your name on it, just by thinking about it. Meet Base 44, a complete AI creation platform. Describe what you want, and watch it take shape. You can plan, customize, and expand in any direction. From tools built for one, platforms ready for many, passion projects, and enterprise-grade systems. Everything is built in and ready to launch. It's a new world of creation, where you can go as far as your imagination takes you. Can you imagine it? Let's make your dream a reality right now.
Welcome to the new generation of web creation, where your vision and technology works as one, so you can create the way you think wins.
Raise an interesting point, and it is that, granted, our system of checks and balances only works in so much as people are willing to uphold them. Let's establish that. There's also nothing put into place to imagine somebody would be so nakedly brazen, just so transparently corrupt. And I need to understand why. Why wouldn't this have been imaginable? It's not like this level of evil is visible. Did you just have more trust in the American voting populace? What? What would have made you think that was the case? The fact that there are so many things that stand in the way of presenting this kind of abuse is insane. You have to put this right with the Supreme Court nomination process. Yeah, just what president is, just pick somebody and they stay forever. Like, how was that? This long, this long. I don't understand that. That's insane. Within one 24-hour period, Trump got over $100 million fine, secured immunity from all future tax investigations for his family and friends, created a $1.8 billion slush fund for law-breaking supporters, and was reported for likely insider trading worth nearly $1 billion. Oh, that's right. Here is the timeline where that's just something we slide into the end of the video, like slush fund. All of the obvious things to say about this are true. It's bad. Nobody even tries to defend it. The closest thing to a defense you get is something about how the Democrats suck and woke was also bad, which is not a defense, but rather a kind of moral blank check made out to the administration to give them the right to do anything. But what I'm most curious about is whether this sort of lurid corruption creates a counter-movement that successfully returns government to rule of law, or whether it's establishing a norm of executive imperialism that every future administration will use to achieve its ends, which can always be justified by the moral blank check of the other side is worse, so let us do whatever we want. Now, I absolutely love that tweet because I do love to wonder how this plays moving forward, especially given the oft-ignored gift of the nakedness of the transgressions. From Chris Murphy, here's how corruption works. Thursday, R.J. Reynolds donates $5 million to Trump. Saturday, Trump invites R.J. Reynolds execs to Mar-a-Lago. Execs ask for loosening regulations on flavored vapes. Trump calls up RFK Jr. and tells him to change it. Friday, FDA changes the policy. Donald Trump's paint-by-numbers, simplistic approach to how to be a dictator really laid so many of the schemes that politicians have been getting away with for decades bare of the American public. Let's pick up what we laid down at the beginning of this video. We establish the hypocrisy of years of kicking the can down the road when it came to reparations for black folks. That's not going to hit the same after this now, is it? That's really not going to hit the same now, is it? And it just doesn't have to be about reparations. How about health care? Now, he can't find the money to pay for health care, but he can steal from you to pay off the criminals who stormed the Capitol. Not being able to provide health care, that's just not going to hit the same. That's just not going to hit. You just showed us how you can come up on $2 billion. Which you did. And that's not to mention we were talking about Iran. How much is that costing every day? The thing that nobody wants to be doing. You have this administration and their ability to manufacture funds that y'all swear y'all never had. Let's not forget that. Huh?
The current score is 3-2.
Trying to get the money already? Longtime Trump ally Michael Caputo files first known claim for anti-weaponization fund. Caputo, a spokesman at the Department of Health and Human Services during Trump's first term, filed the claim a day after the Justice Department set up the $1.8 billion fund. I never even heard of him. What did Caputo, who was a spokesperson for the Department of Health and Human Services during Trump's first term, says he was the target of Crossfire Hurricane, an FBI investigation into whether the Trump campaign coordinated with Russian efforts to interfere in the 2016 presidential election. Caputo posted a letter on X addressed to Acting Attorney General Todd Blanche, saying that the machinery of government was clearly politically weaponized against my family from July 2016 to December 2025. Trump was in the White House during about half of the period in question, particularly the first half of it, yet the wheels continued turning then.
Swap? You should just be asking for mine. When's the last time you sold out?
Stop scrolling. Make your own music right now. Jump into Sprunky, the colorful beatbox playground where anyone can create tracks that slap. Drag funny characters onto the stage and watch them turn into beats, melodies, and rhythms. Mix sounds, unlock hidden combos, and experiment until the music clicks. No skills needed, just creativity and curiosity. Play now on Playderma.com.
We're gonna be figured.
Yeah, that's by my LLC. What you calling him?
I'm getting hands from legal things. They handle my legal stuff, so I can handle my stuff.
You know why? There's so many smart individuals who give advice.
Union, LLC, and export. That's cool. Every business is different. The legal stuff helps you figure out the best way to start yours. Really?
Where you move? I'm opening up a kickboxing gym.
For a legal hand to form your business, visit LegalTeam.
You'll have to keep fighting until we have a winner.
So let me get this straight. A Trump ally who was investigated during Trump's own administration is now trying to collect $2.7 million from a taxpayer-funded weaponization compensation pool that hasn't even formally been created yet? The scam isn't even waiting for paperwork anymore. At this rate, every failed cool lawyer, fake elector, propagandist, and political loyalist with a persecution complex is going to line up at the federal ATM screaming deep state while cashing checks funded by the public they helped lie to. Wait a minute. Is that fund integrated? Expert seek compensation from Trump's $1.7 billion anti-weaponization. Hey, they send money. It's everything. They don't that MAGA hat is.
30 seconds before you attack. Get ready.
You can't find no MAGA hats. That's true. The MAGA store did shut down. Well, hey, I'm sure they got some down in Goodwill, because the MAGAs don't even wear them out no more. Oh, snap. Just when you think that Republicans can't possibly get any more shameless, Republicans revolt over Trump's $1.8 billion anti-weaponization fund. The Trump administration's push for the fund derailed Senate Republicans' plans to pass the president's priority immigration enforcement package on Thursday. Senators left Washington for their Memorial Day recess, with Republicans saying they were blindsided by the Justice Department's announcement of the fund and at odds over how to rein it in. The issue had become so toxic for the Senate GOP, there were doubts they could muster 50 votes needed to pass the broader bill that will provide tens of billions of dollars to U.S. immigration and customs enforcement and border patrol. President Trump had demanded the package land on his desk by June 1st, and GOP lawmakers will now almost certainly miss that deadline. It was just the latest example of the party's revolt against Trump, whose separate request for $1 billion in U.S. Secret Service funding and East Wing ballroom security also seemed likely to be stripped from the package, in part because of GOP opposition. You know how bad you gotta be for the MAGA Senate to object? Do you know how bad you gotta be? Do you know all that they have rubber stamped up to this point? Do you know all that they have eaten up to this point. Man, honestly, there gotta be first paragraph for Trump. When we talking about the grip is so. He lost the disciples. Hey, Trump, I think you should call him low IQ. Call him low IQ. Tell him you don't need him. You don't need their support. That's gonna go great. That's what y'all need for the midterms.
Playing on iPhone? Now you can play Unlocked on PC with Google Play Games. Unlock bigger screens and better control.
Fucking dick at the same time. You're both traitors to the United States of America, and your dying husband will get no fucking sympathy from me. I'm glad he got cancer. Other than that, he posts some weird AI-generated image of the Golden Dome for the White House. This horrifying AI-generated image of him as a giant peeking over the mountains in Greenland, and it says, "Hello, Greenland." He posted this AI-generated video of him throwing Stephen Colbert into the trash. This is after Stephen Colbert did his final show at orders of the Fuhrer. The Fuhrer did officially get Stephen Colbert fired because this country is beholden to our oligarch leaders. But he posted this picture of Ro Khanna as a wolf in sheep's clothing. This is because he fucking hates when Ro Khanna goes on Fox News and obliterates absolutely everyone there. Then he posted this picture of Iran with the red, white, and blue flag, and it says the United States of the Middle East. He does actually mean that. What else? A whole bunch of stupid shit about like the White House reflecting pool or the Lincoln Memorial reflecting pool. Just stupid bullshit overall, as we know. And then obviously praising Erdogan because Erdogan is equally as repugnant and narcissistic dictator, and that shit about the soccer. So that's what we see. Meanwhile, you have Fox News posting videos like Cuba reportedly preparing for war with the U.S. I'm going to put this at 1.5 speed. And we are going to watch the way that Fox News is propagandizing your oldest and stupid family members preparing for the war with Cuba.
Cuba says it is preparing for war following this week's indictment by the U.S. of Raul Castro. Cuba's deputy foreign minister is calling it a political action designed to lay the groundwork for an American invasion. And the Cuban government is reportedly handing out pamphlets to citizens titled Family Guide for Protection Against Military Aggression. The defense quote for the U.S. is threatening a military assault, quote, annihilate the dream of Fidel Castro. Secretary of State Marco Rubio says Cuba has consistently played a big threat for the United States.
But they also host
Grand Livered Bull Marcus Aurelius Rubius has been itching, stroking, and edging his calf for the invasion of Cuba his entire fucking life. Same thing with Ted Cruz. This is the moment that he was born and bred for. It's the U.S. takeover of Cuba. We're probably going to turn it into a vassal state, much like Puerto Rico. Real quick, has anybody ever felt like in danger from Cuba? Because I'm 28 years old. I was born in 1997. Never in my life have I felt like Cuba was a national security threat. Never in my life have I felt endangered by the Cubans. When I went to fucking Disney World in Orlando, I wasn't worried about a fucking Cuban attack drone coming all the way up here and fucking my ass. Such bullshit.
Once you get to the humanitarian aid, that falls into the hands of the military company that they have, and then they take that stuff and sell it for dollars for it and put the money in their pocket. That's not going to work that way.
Meantime, ICE agents in Miami say they detained the sister of a top Cuban military official who oversees a multi-billion-dollar military conglomerate running most of Cuba's economy. Let's bring in now Rick Torre, former CIA chief of station in Caracas, Venezuela, and Mike Gonzalez, senior fellow at the Heritage Institute. Great to have you here. Let me start with you, Rick. It seems inevitable, given the statements by President Trump and others in the administration, that change is coming. How do you expect that to happen?
context of the result of the series. This is the most aggressive U.S. posture towards Cuba in years. He's got in Raul Castro and going to the Western borders with the United States. It is Washington new So Fox News will not mention that the brothers to the rescue, who was the plane of these two brothers who kept on flying over Cuba, dropping these leaflets on take over your government, get rid of Castro. Fox News will not mention the fact that those two men were admittedly working with the CIA. And they were acting as a spy for reconnaissance aircraft. It's a violation of international law. If any nation flew a reconnaissance plane in the United States airspace, we will strike the F-16s in a fucking second to put that shit down. We have got that shit down. You remember when we thought there was like a fucking Chinese spy aircraft flying over the West Coast and it was like, you know, Mother Marine or some shit? Now we shoot that shit down instantly and immediately. And now we are indicting a 96-year-old man for the exact same thing we have done a billion fucking times. And it happened 29 fucking years ago. That's how desperate we are. And also, I want to point out, one of the main reasons why we're indicting Raul Castro is simply because he is alive and his last name is Castro, and overwhelming amount of, like, boomer Republican studs, they just want to see a Castro face consequences for being in confidence. That's all they want, despite the fact that the overwhelming majority of the diaspora will flee from Batista, not from something called Castro. And all of the people who said were tremendously wealthy and deserve to be like fucking. These were the slave-owned class of Cubans.
At StrikeTeam Only, we believe in making education more accessible and affordable for everyone. That's why we offer online college-level courses that are transfer-funded. We know students are real people with real challenges, but Sophia can be a real solution. Sign up today and fast-track your degree.
And this man, we have to indict him, we have to arrest him, we have to kidnap him and bring him back to the United States of America so that we can build beachfront properties and Trump towers and casinos in Cuba. Because the rich Miami Cubans want to go take a summer vacation or something. But it's not valid to what people want to do. It's a broken island, it's possible to Florida. It is, dude. It's not a threat. We're talking about the fucking United States military. And you want me to believe that an island that doesn't have enough to have electricity, an island where people are starving to death, an island that doesn't have anything. You expect me to believe that they are a threat to my safety? Get the fuck out of here. You should be putting this much effort into it. But is it really threat? Yeah, I don't know if it's safe to say, yeah, we did. As we've all known for many years now, Cuba is a very large aircraft carrier, 9 miles from our border. They've got a signals determined today for all the players. They can't have something there. Not something to come up. But it does want to be cut here. And it's something, you know, I have no idea. These signals from all of that money this guy is really solid. It's solid. It's $5
Still got an edge.
Oh, regardless, I don't need the evidence. I know damn well this motherfucker is straight up getting paid by the
It's clobbering
Really? So when I went to the Ice Out protest in New York City, I was actually, I was working for the Cuban government. Oh, that's right. All those concepts said free Palestine was because I was getting busted for the Cuba. Great, I wonder what. Maybe that's why I'm so fucking broke, is because I'm relying on the Cubans.
believing that if and when it comes to any decisive action by the US to end the partnership, it will be bottomed by the people.
Oh, yeah, dude, just like in Iraq and Afghanistan and Vietnam and Iran and Nigeria. Yeah, dude, because we, the United States of America, we come in peace. We don't come to rape and pillage your land or steal your resources and turn you into a vassal state.
I think the strategy is maybe to take enough to increase the possibility while sending a message.
Yes, dude, this is step 2.
My dad
It's
goes
like
later
makeup.
himself,
You have
but I feel like I
to
was born
strangle their
retarded.
economy. You have to make their economy scream. You have to make the average person stop it. And then you, the invader, do the opposite. That will turn the average person against their own government. You're letting us suffer when in reality, no, the institution suffers is harmful by the United States of America in order to foment dissent against the government. It's really all this place.
Fernando, that doesn't count. Let's keep fighting until we have a winner.
Just like Iran, just like when you guys said the Iranian people would rise up and take down their leadership, right? Right? When did that happen? Did that end up happening, or are we now on day 86 of that fucking war?
Which side you're on.
Gonzalez, thank you both very much. Gentlemen, great to see you this
The
time.
right heroes can make all the difference. I'm here to
This
finish
is
the
all
fight that my father
manufacturing
began.
consent
I
getting
hope
the
I made you
dumbass
proud.
box viewers who are the overwhelming majority of this country prepared. Now, it's not just about Cuba, it's also about Iran. Trump says the U.S. will only sign an agreement with Iran, quote, if we get everything we want. Well, that's not a negotiation, my friend. That is intimidation, my friend. That's not how you negotiate. See, I try to sell you a car. I say, I'm selling it for $1,000. You say, how about $750? And I say, how about I rape and murder you?
A giant robot.
That's not negotiation, Donald. The Fuhrer told CBS News on the Fuhrer told state-controlled media known as CBS News on Saturday that negotiations for U.S. and Iran are, quote, getting a lot closer to finalizing an agreement between the two countries. The latest proposal includes the process to re-orchestrate the unfreezing of some Iranian assets held in foreign banks and the continuation of negotiations. Secretary of State and Grand Visitor of the Greater South, Marco Aurelius Lucas, said, quote, there might be some news a little later today. When asked about Iran negotiations before the U.S. embassy on Saturday, added hopes the war of June diplomatic Trump regime promised to press rights against the president. The British sources with their knowledge of plans so, what you're going to find out is this peace deal cannot be closed. Will not be closed. Because a big part of the peace deal that the Iranians have is we must need to get Israel to cease all military operations together. Right? And the thing is, in the relationship between Israel and America, we are the God of the region. They are the master of waters. There is a fault in Tel Aviv. This is irrefutable fact, by the way. There is a fault in Tel Aviv with a catalog of people. Donald J. Trump, the President of the United States, forcefully raping children. Because Donald J. Trump, the President of the United States, is sex trafficking, pedophile, child rapist. Again, this is confirmed fact. That's what Caroline feelings and nothing on this fact. Right? So, also because of that law, and also because the actions of Israel are tied hand in hand with the actions of the U.S. State Department, we cannot order the Israelis to do anything. However, the Israelis can order the Legion of Loyal of the United States to do whatever the Israelis want, which is why you haven't seen a single IDF soldier fighting in Iran. It's why the only people that have died from the Axis of Epstein side in Iran are Americans. We are the Legion of Loyal, and we are designed to fight Israel's wars for them because they own us. Okay, let's keep on reading here. Oh, there's a lot of that one, actually. So, Trump says he is 50-50 on Iran deal or bombs, and he will meet envoys to decide. The Fuhrer told Axios on Saturday that he would be meeting with negotiators later the day to discuss Iran's latest offer and would likely decide by Sunday whether to resume the war. The big picture. The Fuhrer said that it was a solid 50-50 as to whether he would be able to make a good deal or a below them to kingdom come deal. The Fuhrer is expected to hold a conference call with Gulf leaders later today to discuss the situation with Iran, per two sources with knowledge of the plans. The leaders of Egypt, Pakistan, and Turkey are currently expected to be among the participants. A senior Israeli rat said that Prime Minister and living version of Satan, Benjamin Netanyahu, and his aides are in touch with the White House about the emerging deal. Senator and closeted homosexual Lindsey Graham told Axios that some leaders in the region have urged the Fuhrer to strike Iran to weaken the regime and get a better deal on better terms. On the other hand, he said other leaders in the...
This. You could be the first millennial in history with a trip and a device that is not their computer.
How? Yeah, how? I need a screen to feel safe.
Substantial Gulf oil operations. This is exactly what I have been saying for fucking months, which is that if we continue to strike Iran, all they have to do is take out the desalination plants in the Gulf coastal nations, and the entirety of that region will be rendered inhospitable. Uninhabitable. You cannot live there without desalination plants. That is the largest mass exodus, the largest refugee crisis in modern history. It'll be 10 to 20 million people forced to immediately leave the area because they will have 7 days of water. All right, so this is the quote here, I believe, from Lindsey Graham. Count me as a strong skeptic that Iran can't be prevented from terrorizing the Strait of Hormuz and that we can't defend vital interests in the region after massive attacks against Iran. If they have been truly obliterated, they shouldn't be able to do either, he said. Time will tell, and I'm hoping for a good outcome still. So, looks like not only are we going to re-engage, it looks like not only are we going to begin war with Cuba, but we are going to reignite the war in Iran probably on Memorial Day. So, a big part of this is this bullshit Mossad operation. Ivanka Trump targeted for assassination by IRGC terrorists, twisted plot to avenge president taking out his mentor, sources say. First slut, Ivanka Trump, was the second slut, Melania is the first slut. But the second slut, Ivanka Trump, was targeted for assassination by an Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps trained terrorist in a twisted plot to avenge the president taking out his mentor, posters learned. Recently captured Mohammed Bakr Said Dawood al-Said, 32, made a, quote, pledge to kill Ivanka and even had a blueprint of her Florida home, sources claim. The Iraqi national was allegedly targeting the Fuhrer's family in response to the killing of Iraqi military chief Qasem Soleimani and the U.S. drone strike in Baghdad 6 years ago. Quote, after Qasem was killed, he, al-Said, went around telling people, quote, we need to kill Ivanka to burn down the House of Trump the way he burned down our house. And Tafad Kanbar, a former deputy military attaché in the Iraqi embassy in Washington. So I would like to point out something which is like, we killed this little girl. We killed the Ayatollah. We killed his children. We killed his grandchildren. We killed his wife. We kept on killing them over and over and over again. And I don't feel a fucking ounce of sympathy for Donald Trump, Ivanka Trump, or any members of his fucking family. Okay? Look at this precious little girl. We turned this child into literally fucking mist. Into pink mist. And I know I'm going to get a little graphic here, but the reality of the situation is that this little girl probably saw a giant explosion with glass shattering her face as she was pulling out apart. Okay? turned into pink fucking mist. That's what we fucking did. And you expect me to have a problem with the fact that they want revenge on Donald Trump's fucking whore of a daughter? I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck. I don't give a shit about any members of the fucking Trump family. And just know, I am biting my tongue right now. Because we live in a nation where I cannot say what I want to say, but I can certainly fucking think it. And the same goes for Don Jr., Eric, Barron, Kai, Melania, everybody with the Trump last name. I hope you're picking up what I'm fucking putting down. And I also just don't believe that story whatsoever. U.S. laying Iran strikes as Trump cancels his Memorial Day plan. So this is what should scare you even more, is that Trump is preparing to bomb them on Memorial Day. The U.S. military and intelligence staff have canceled Memorial Day leave as strike preparations intensify, but no final decision has been made. Talks mediated by Pakistan and Qatar face deadlock over nuclear and maritime issues, with Iran reviewing what Washington calls quote, final answer. The IRGC has threatened, quote, pushing blows if the U.S. or Israel pursue strikes, raising fears of wider regional conflict. So the Iranians have come out and said, if you start bombing Syria, we are going to lob hundreds of missiles at Israel, at Qatar, at Kuwait, at the UAE, at every single one of the U.S. vassal states in Israel. Despite an April ceasefire, tensions remain high after the February joint U.S.-Israel strike closing off supreme leaders. Washington has delivered what it calls a final proposal to Tehran, warning that rejection for the renewed military action. Nothing publicly said that Iran is, quote, dying to make a deal, but insists on strong guarantees while officials confirm the Pentagon is on standby to act on any presidential absolute stuff. And I wanted to show you this. This is J.D. Vance's motorcade making an unplanned return to Washington, D.C. And just note how fucking fast they are.
May seem dangerous, but I've never felt safer than when I'm with spiders.
I know this is a little thing, but this means a lot more than you would think. The speed at which this motorcade is flying home to D.C. means something fucking terrible is about to happen. And Trump canceled all of his Memorial Day plans. Trump canceled his entire fucking weekend of plans. Even the dirty fucking jigsaw-faced piece of shit, rambunctious, combat hunted whore known as Laura fucking Lunar Posts. I know that we are either bombing Iran or conquering Cuba this weekend. It's nice to know that she takes breaks in between sucking off Elon Musk and Donald Trump to post tweets. We do love that.
Yes and no.
Anyway, go here. I wanted to show you this too. Pete Hegseth giving a speech at the West Point commencement. These are all like graduates from West Point.
Get on the couch.
Listen to what he has to say.
Sit down.
Know we truly do live in hell.
2, 1.
Last and most. Just gonna forward a bit.
To the mission area. Got it?
There, it's also different. As Charlie Kirk often said, remember this. That's the last thing I remember Charlie Kirk saying. That's armed and dangerous. Why are they quoting Charlie Kirk like he's Jesus Christ? Armed and dangerous! In every circumstance. Kirkulations 716. I also wanted you to hear Marco Rubio say that the Iran decision may be imminent.
Moments ago, Secretary of State Marco Rubio answering a question on the U.S. plan for Iran while in India.
There's a chance that whether it's later today, tomorrow, in a couple days, we may have something to say. But this issue is soft. President said one way or the other. Iran never has before them. The Strait keep being open without tolls.
I gotta do better this time.
Enriched uranium. They need to turn. They're highly enriched uranium. If we need to address that issue, we need to address the issue.
Literally everything he just said was addressed with the Obama JCPOA. The highly enriched uranium, they gave up 25,000 pounds. The straight up on rules, completely open. There were no mines for water. There were no tolls. Like, you're just begging to go back to the way things were.
These are the president's points consistently.
and his preference is always to deal with it in a diplomatic way. The president's preference is always to solve problems such as these through a negotiated system. Then why does he keep on threatening to nuke them? Because it's now been 10 times. Donald Trump has threatened to nuke Iran 10 times now, and he actually requested the nuclear strike once and was rejected.
That's what we're working on right now. But this problem will be solved. The president's making it clear one way or the other. We hope it's not the diplomatic route. That's what we're working on, and perhaps there's something to talk about on this topic here on the
So that even Marcus Aurelius Rubius goes to war.
Yeah?
Little drop side article here. Iranian official outlines the latest proposal to end the U.S. war as Trump weighs new strikes. I believe I actually have the official quote here. Yeah,
Daddy.
You sell on your website, Amazon, and beyond. We ship your orders, powered by Amazon's logistics network. Amazon Shipping. You sell it, we ship it.
Before agriculture with allergic itch, giving dogs pills was a battle of wits.
Oh, Maria, I lost your sister. Is he gone?
Totally gone. Food for itchy dogs can be easier. Apoquel, the trusted #1 treatment for allergic itch, is available in a tasty chewable that works fast.
May cause worsening of existing parasitic skin infestations, serious infections, or pre-existing cancers. New neoplasias have been observed. Use in dogs under 12 months of age with serious infections or in breeding, pregnant, or lactating dogs.
Ask your vet for Apoquel chewable.
Do it! It's definitely not in the interest of the Lebanese people. See, this is exactly what. Alright, one more quote here. Over 1 million people are internally displaced in Lebanon, and about 100,000 or 150,000 civilians are still south of this river, according to the UN. They are now essentially cut off from the rest of the country. So the Israelis have completely occupied southern Lebanon. They blew up all the bridges that lead into northern Lebanon, and they've taken about 150,000 civilians as hostage. They are also going town to town telling the Christians in Lebanon that if they hide Muslims in their attics or basements, the ILF, the Israeli occupying forces, will burn down the entire village and kill everybody there. Again, this is reported fact. Facts don't care about the club. All right, now last thing I want to talk about is this. Late on Wednesday, the United States Führer, Donald Trump, announced that the leaders of Israel